Hello. In this video, let's see how to extract frequently occurring tokens in your input dataset. I have this insurance claims dataset with about 60,000 claims. I have the claim amount by country, by supplier, vehicle make, and so on. There's one column called complaint description here. Let me go to the Prepare tab and see what's in this column. Now, I see that this column has details about the actual complaint description. In order to be able to make some value out of this column, I need to understand what are the common topics that are being used in these complaints. I can do that by using the text tokenization feature available now in OAC as part of the data flows. So I start by creating a data flow. I pick the complaints data set. I add the database analytics step and I choose text tokenization. Now let me look at the parameters section first. First, I need to specify the column to be tokenized, so that's complaint description. Next is the reference column. Now this is a column that will be added to your output dataset containing the tokens, and that will allow you to join back to your input dataset so you can slice and dice with your original business data. So this is like a primary key in your dataset. So I choose row ID here. Reference column 2 and 3 are options in case you have a multi-column key in your dataset. Now the top in here allows me to specify the top and frequently occurring tokens that I want. Default is 50, so I leave it at that. Now do I want to include numerical values as tokens? I say no. This is an option to handle specific languages. So if your data set is in one of these languages, then choose that language so the process can use a specific lexer for that language. If not, leave it as default and it will be handled by the database. In the outputs, I have only one reference column that I mapped to row ID, so let me uncheck 2 and 3 and let me rename this to row ID. That's it. Let me now go and save this step. Let me give a dataset name, a table name, and in the outputs row counter has to be a count aggregation. Let me save this data flow. Now before running this data flow, I want to call out a couple of things that you need to keep in mind for tokenization. One, the user used in the connection to execute this data flow, basically the user in this connection, should have execute privileges on a package called ctxddl. This package is used behind the scenes to create the text index and do the tokenization. The second best practice is the schema that the input table belongs to, and the username used in this connection should preferably be the same in order to prevent any access privilege issues during data flow execution. Okay, let me now execute this data flow. What is happening behind the scenes is that the text index on our complaints description column is being created by the database. Once it's created, the index is used to extract tokens from the column and also a count of how often these tokens appear in the dataset. All this processing happens in the underlying database with no data being moved to BI server. Okay, now that it's completed, let's go and look at our output datasets. Claims tokens was created by the data flow. Let me open it. Here are the columns. Let me look at the token text and plot it as a word cloud. So these are the top 50 frequently occurring tokens of words in my data set. Let me add occurrence so I can see which word appears the most. Vehicle appears close to 50,000 times in my input data set, followed by car, dealer, and so on. Okay, let me duplicate this with. Let me change it as a table. Let me bring in a rows counter into this table. Let me sort this descending. Okay, the word vehicle appears 50,000 times across 22,000 rows in my input data set. So on an average, every row has this word appearing twice. Okay, this is interesting. Now let me add my original data set so I can do some mashup analysis. So I go and add my claims data set. Now it's automatically joined by row ID column, but if you had left the default reference column in your data flow, then you need to go to the Prepare tab and join the reference column to the row ID in your original data set. Okay, now let me delete this table. Let me remove occurrence and bring in the claim amount here. So now I'm looking at the top tokens by a business metric like the claim amount from my original data set, and I see different results. I see that brakes is the most frequently occurring word with respect to claim amount, followed by warranty and so on. Okay, let me duplicate this and let me filter for a few vehicle makes. So let me pick a couple of vehicle makes here. Let me add this column to the trellis columns as well as to the color axis. Now I'm seeing some interesting information. I'm seeing that for this vehicle make, a lot of my complaints have to do with the word engine, whereas for these two, brake seems to be the problem. Now this is valuable information, and this was possible because of text tokenization feature in the Oracle database, which was leveraged by OAC. Thanks for watching this video.